Hey guys, this is your class recap for science class. So we have a test tomorrow. Hope that you've been studying. We used note cards today. We tested each other and we should be ready to go for tomorrow. So I will go over some of the questions, some of the answers that we talked about. So this video may be a little bit longer than the last one. So we've been studying the science of rockets, the history of space exploration, and using space science on Earth. So you may catch me looking down because I have a book right in front of me. This is where I'm getting your test questions from. So I wrote them down today on the board. We actually wrote them down on note cards with the question on one side, the answer on the other. So in the event that you've lost one of your note cards or you missed one, pay attention to make sure you've got everything you need. So we're going to start with the first one. So rocket technology originated in China hundreds of years ago and gradually spread to other parts of the world. So China is that keyword that you're looking for. Where did rocket technology originate? So a rocket will move forward when gases shooting out of the back of the rocket push it in the opposite direction. So I'm going to leave that blank as forward. So your word for that question is forward. The main advantage of a multi-stage rocket is that the blank will be here, blank of the rocket is greatly reduced as the rocket rises. That answer is weight. The total weight of the rocket is greatly reduced as the rocket rises. So you know that the rocket will kind of break apart and some parts will fall down to the earth at different stages, and that will help the weight be reduced or lessen as the rocket gets closer to being in outer space. So the next section is the history of space exploration. The space race was the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. So you know that we were trying to be the first to get a person into space. So the Soviet Union actually won that one, but we got the man on the moon first. Okay? So NASA is the blank for your next question. NASA has used space shuttles to take satellites into orbit, repair damaged satellites, and carry astronauts to and from space stations. So NASA, that is your blank. The next blank is a blank provides a place for experiments in space. That's a space station. Provides a place for experiments in space. And lastly, your blank is at the beginning. Blank collects data about the solar system. That's a space probes. Okay? Lastly, using space science on Earth. Conditions in space that are different from those on Earth are, the first one is near vacuum. The next is extreme temperatures. And the last is microgravity. Okay? So the next question actually is asking you about space spinoffs. So we're looking for a space spinoff in each of the following categories: medical devices, materials, and consumer products. So this is where you looked on page 64 and 65. You looked at that chart or those three charts and you decided on which of these materials you were going to talk about. So an example for consumer product was a joystick. People use that when they're playing video games. New materials are like clear ceramic materials. We use that in braces. And lastly, a pacemaker with a long life batteries for your heart. Okay? So your next question or your next blank are used for communications and for collecting weather data and other scientific data. Satellites are used for communications and for collecting weather data and other science data. Please don't get satellite confused with space probe. That key word there was communications. Okay? So additional questions are, a rocket is a term that names a device that expels gas in one direction in order to move in the opposite direction. So that answer was rocket. Next, let's see. Object that revolves around another object in space. That answer is satellite. Okay, other questions. After the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, American educators improved math and science education. Why? So some of the answers that we talked about were for the future generation or for younger people to actually help us to win this space race. Next, it says, give one way in which how is a space shuttle, that's a question I didn't give you. How is a space shuttle different than a space probe? So a space shuttle transports people, a space probe collects data. The last one, if you are planning a Mars mission, what are some challenges that we'll face? So this is like getting water to the people that are the astronauts, getting air to the astronauts. What if they've got to go to the bathroom? So those are some of the challenges that you would face. So a lot of you talked about adjusting the space suit, making sure that there's like a water pack. What if we put like something on the helmet so that it'll filtrate the air? So some ideas that you guys have, okay? One of the last questions will be, if your car broke down in an unfamiliar place, what are two ways that satellites in orbit will help you? One is the GPS system. It'll tell exactly where you are. And the other is you can call somebody and tell them to come and help you. Okay? Anything else, just send me an email. Hopefully you guys will see this video and it'll help you remember what your questions and answers are. I will see you tomorrow. Good luck.